Recently, there was a tiny bit of news regarding Villeneuve's Dune Messiah that I think, if it turns out to be true, is a massive relief for many Dune fans. I first learned of this update on social media from Dune Info. Take with a pinch of spice, but according to production list, Dune Messiah starts shooting August 4th, 2025. Dune Messiah follows Paul Atreides, now Emperor Muad'Dib, navigating his immense power while battling political foes and a conspiracy within his circle. I mean, obviously that sounds like Dune Messiah, but that could just be a copy-paste. So August 4th, 2025, that's the shooting date. So this is a project summary. Dune Messiah follows Paul Atreides, now Emperor Muad'Dib, navigating his immense power while battling political foes and a conspiracy within his circle. As House Atreides faces collapse, the real danger emerges for Paul's lover, Chani, and their unborn heir. Okay, so this is why I was saying that Dune Part 2 just really throws things out of whack for me, because are they just going to be together when Dune Messiah begins? For me, still, it's such a weird thing to end on Chani leaving Paul, and she really seems extremely upset about what's going on, the political situation, but more importantly, on top of all that, she knows that her people are going to war in the name of a Messiah that has been manufactured by the Bene Gesserit. So we're going to jump forward in time. I mean, that's how the source material goes. We jump forward in time to 12 years, and they're already together. But obviously in the books, we don't have this complication between them. But this does sound that it's in keeping with Dune Messiah, at least the premise of the novel. If this is accurate, and I hope it's not just them copy-pasting a plot summary of Dune Messiah to this, I hope this actually means that they're coming back to the source material in terms of Paul and Chani's relationship. This could be really good news in that regard. At the end of the day, I hope it's done well, that it's organic to the characters, and that somehow you can bring this particular storyline, because it's such an important storyline for the main character of Paul Atreides and the future of the Dune saga itself, is his relationship with Chani. And it sounds like they're still trying to shoot for that date that's been reserved, which is December of 2026, to actually release the film. That's been reserved already by Warner Brothers for what they call the Denis Villeneuve event film. They're shooting for an August filming date. It'll film for like several months. Post-production, I think it's going to be cutting it close. If no other delays happen, they could make it. So in terms of Paul and Chani's relationship, if this is really true, like this is the story that they're going with as outlined by the novel, we know they're going to reconcile. That's not in dispute of what's going to happen in their relationship. It's more of how is this going to be portrayed then? That's what's kind of up in the air at the moment. We're going to jump forward in time and they're already going to be together. I mean, because that in itself will seem jarring to me. You have to say something that, or convey something that makes sense from where we just left off with Paul and Chani in Dune Part 2. It's gonna be challenging, but at least we know they're gonna get there to the place as written. So that's a good sign. And we'll see how this works out. If he can pull it off, I know that Denis Villeneuve has stated that this will be his last time in Arrakis at this point with Paul Atreides' story, but that doesn't mean that if it's done well, I'm sure they will want to pursue Children of Dune and maybe beyond, I don't know, but there is definitely something to that. And I think it would be a great time for that to be a TV series itself. I think that is the best format, that long form series. Hopefully, whatever happens with Dune Prophecy won't negatively impact the film side of things or the future post Dune Messiah as far as adaptations go. And also when it comes to television, because I feel like that really shouldn't be ruled out as a medium, especially for this universe. Are they going to get back together between the movies? It sounds like it. In Dune Part 2, there's the time before they're going to attack the Shield Wall and the Arcane Palace and all of that. Paul and Lady Jessica, they're discussing Chani, what's going on. And he says that she'll come around, he can see it. So in his mind, he sees that future where they're together. Does it mean that Paul will make her aware? At this point, she's aware of the Bene Gesserit religious manipulation to her people and Paul's part in it, because this is what they've decided to interpret the character as. At that point, at the end of the story of Dune, like even before then, probably midway through, Paul has no choice really in how events are going to unfold. The best that he can hope for is to mitigate the damage that will be done in his name in the coming jihad. So I feel like if Chani knows that, if she becomes aware of what's really going on with Paul, that he didn't want the jihad, that he was trapped in it and had to make a choice between an array of purely terrible options, then maybe that's the best way for Chani to organically come around to supporting Paul. Even in the movie, it portrays Paul as being pushed by others, his closest advisors, to accept his role as this Messiah figure. So even that generates more sympathy for the character in the way the audience looks at him. It reinforces that he didn't really have a choice, that he was really ensnared by destiny. And in the book, the internal dialogue for Paul makes it even more clear that he doesn't want the mantle that was dictated for him as the Kwisatz Haderach. He wants to avoid the jihad at every turn, but as his powers grow, he becomes aware that even if he were to die, it wouldn't matter. The jihad would rage across the galaxy in his name regardless, to an even greater degree, because he would also be a martyr that would fan the flames of religious fanaticism even more. So there would be even more death and destruction. So by him being alive, he's able to mitigate the damage, even though it's still on this terrible path that he can't avoid. But since Chani already knows the Bene Gesserit agenda, I think it would make sense for Paul to just be open with her about what's going on in his mind, to see that he is truly at the mercy of destiny, and that all he could hope to achieve is what he sees as the best of the worst possible outcomes for humanity and for those who he cares about too. The argument has been made that the changes to Chani were done to give her character some agency. Personally, I never saw a problem with book Chani as written. In terms of the film, though, I feel like if Chani becomes aware of the full scope of the situation, that Paul is just trying to mitigate inevitable damage, then the strong feelings of betrayal that we see her emoting at the end of Dune Part 2 can be contextualized as being felt with the limited information she had at the time. I don't think this fully fixes the issues that many Dune fans have with the changes to Chani, but it at least paves the way for the story and their relationship to veer closer to what happens in the Dune Messiah novel, and from the film perspective, doing so in a way that also feels organic to the film interpretation of the character. Paul, with his prescience, of course, sees much more than Chani. So over time, if he's able to give her the context of the entire situation, I think that it can be believably portrayed that Chani can return and reconcile with Paul while still maintaining that agency, choosing to return on her own volition and with the full understanding of the circumstances. The setting of Messiah could actually nicely bring the film version of Chani in line with Paul, as Paul is not happy with the situation he's in. The billions of lives lost in the jihad weigh heavily on him, and he wants to rectify whatever he can of the situation, and thus he's not determined to take any further advantage of the Fremen. It's possible that Paul could be encouraged by Chani to tear down the Muad'Dib figure. That would be in line with the film interpretation of her character, but also perhaps a more faithful way to handle it, that maybe she sees his pain and the burden and regret over what he's had to do, and that draws her to him, and she could become supportive of his growing desire to tear down his own godhood in the universe and to expose it. That's totally in line with Villeneuve's version of the character, and I think that may be the best way for them to reconcile and lean more towards some elements that could be faithful to the book version of Chani. In either case, I personally hope that this plot summary from the production list is accurate, which will mean that we will see their love be the heart of the story of Messiah. And if so, then this news is no doubt a huge relief for many fans who were concerned or off-put about the ending of Dune Part 2. And if in the opening minutes of Villeneuve's Dune Messiah, we get a sense that she's reasonably come to understand Paul's motivations more fully, I think it will perfectly pave the way for an awesome adaptation for Dune Messiah and an epic conclusion to his trilogy. But I'm curious to know what you think of this news. Would you be relieved to see Chani return to a place of support for Paul and Dune Messiah that is more in line with the novel? Or do you think there is another way to move ahead with the changes to her character as we've seen her depicted in Dune Part 2? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more Dune and other sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. And if you're looking for other ways to show your appreciation, you can check out my Patreon page, where members get access to exclusive content and perks. Thank you all so much for your support, and as always, have a very nerdy day.